Alrighty, welcome everyone. My name is Mackenzie. I'm the founder of Grad Jobs, and today I'm interviewing Kanal. Kanal came to Australia as an international student to study a master's in business information systems, and he secured a role as a demand planning analyst at Spotlight, which is a almost $1 billion revenue estimated retailer. And his roles kind of turned more into a business analyst slash supply chain role, which we'll talk more about as well. Kanal was a client of ours a little while back, and he was a really, really good client and he did really well. So I thought it would be really valuable to get him on the podcast. So today we're going to dive into Kanal's story, learn about what he actually does in his role, and talk about the job search as an international student. Welcome, Kanal.
Thanks a lot, Mackenzie. It's great to have you back again after a so long gap. We have been talking in LinkedIn's, but it's great to be back on the podcast, and I'm happy to help others who are actually struggling in the same phase, which everyone does as an international student.
Awesome. Thank you for taking the time, Kanal. Should we get into it?
Yep.
What do you do in your current role at Spotlight as an analyst?
So my role is a mix and match of a BA as well as supply chain domain expert. And what I do is basically we need to forecast categories or something as per the portfolio. So basically, I'm handling a portfolio as a furnishing in the Spotlight, where we take care of any of the futures order to predict any of the futures order, how much sales is going to be predicted. So we use basically a lot of different tools, which is basically in terms of an analyst tools, working with an planning analysis as well as some of the SAP tools with mix and match of a lot of reportings and come up to the solution. It's more of forecasting analysis where we keep a track about what needs to be done ahead. So basically, we plan for more than 6 months down the line and understand where exactly the trend is going. And if it matches the trend, then most probably it's beneficial for the business.
And if someone wants to break into this kind of role, what are the main skills they should try and get?
I think it's always start with your attitude and inquisitiveness of learning something new, irrespective whether you are into that domain or not. But if you understand a little bit about a retail and its background, how the supply chain works, even the basic would still work. And if you have very inquisitive mindset that what exactly goes behind of all the products which is coming to the store, that's the main skills which I would like everyone to know, that if you are inquisitive enough, then most probably you can at least get into that role. And on top of that, if you are aware about advanced excels and some of the tools which is related with Power BI, I think that will help a really lot.
And how was the job search for you? Was it easy?
Oh, that's I think it's for all international student irrespective. It's very critical. I would say when I came to Australia, I already had 12 years of an experience working with a different multinational company in India as well as in abroad. But still, my search of job in Australia is same as what others has followed. So if you remember our initial conversation, we used to do 100 of an application, then following your path of actually narrate down to what exactly is required, then networking a lot on the LinkedIn's, going on the conferences. That has exponentially increased my visibility in the market, I would suggest. And then to be persistent enough, I think this is what I've learned during your course. And when I wanted to join this company from the beginning, I actually followed the senior HR for more than 6 months just to accept the invitation. So I think that's where I think when they were required, and eventually every month I used to message them, mail them, asking for reply, and eventually after 6 months I got a reply. And then I think it took nearly, I think, 3 to 4 interviews down the line, and then it got selected. It was a very critical, because even the general manager took an interview because they want to be dead sure with the position what they're hiring. But yes, with an experience even of 10 years, it is still the same of getting into the market. So obviously you need to follow the procedure, interact a lot with the team members, interact a lot with the company, understand the company, and then most probably you will definitely will get a foot on the door. And that's what it worked for me.
How long did it take you from when you graduated to when you secured the offer, the verbal
Uh,
offer?
it would be around close to 2.5 months down the line. So I followed the same path as basically every international do or jobs. I did the same thing, and what I've done is basically I curated down the time that most probably every day I should be investing at least 2 to 3 hours of narrating down my CVs, interacting with an more of a HRs, more of an person who's actually hiring, understanding the market. I think this is where I take a time. But if you are consistently enough and of persuading what you required, then definitely you will find your own rhythm to what needs to be done it across. And I think this is where, if you are persistent enough, most probably someone will take 2 months, someone will take even just a week. But if they invest the right amount of time, they definitely will be successful in search.
And this job that you got at Spotlight, was that from networking or did you apply?
It's a both way around. So I did follow it simultaneously with an HR, but I directly applied through LinkedIn and followed directly. And once the first call which I got it from that HR, and I told them in a really nicer way that I've been following you for the past 6 months, and definitely that helped me because they have given me the insight that what actually the role is all about and what they are looking at. But if you are persistent enough to follow both the strategy, irrespective whether it's pure networking or it's a pure directly an offline channel, but you will get a sure shot at least at the first round that what is expected. And you ask definitely a lot of questions at the first round itself, so that you know what is your future path and what they are expecting. And that really helped me in cracking all the three different interviews with all the three different people.
And how many companies would you say you interviewed with between when you graduated and secured this offer?
I think I would say that it was the first company, the Spotlight itself, because I was been struggling to get a first round of an interview, because I was pretty sure that if I got a first round of interview in any of the companies, I would be definitely go into the details and understand what is required. Getting a lot of rejection. It's the same as and asking for the feedback, what exactly went wrong and what exactly they are looking at. And eventually it comes down to that they will be looking with a very specific niche. So when I'm talking about, because I was more interested in the BA profile, they were actually looking of someone who is not a fresher. They know, understand about the domain expertise. And it gets very critical if you are if you are very keen in understanding the BA profile. You have to find balance between what is required and what is your BA knowledge is all about. And this is where I was not finding a right balance to it, and that's how I didn't get any of the interviews at the beginning. But this profile was absolutely niche to what is my experience is and what I was been aiming for. So that was the right match for me. And got a lot of inputs from your team, as well as curating down with the checking a lot of other LinkedIn profile with have a similar profile. What are they doing? And again, modifying the CV, modifying the LinkedIn multiple times just to get hang around what it's required. And I'm happy to say that once I've done that, and now with all the updated resumes and all that stuff, you are actually highlighted a lot in the market, and people will come back to you stating that they want to know something more about this profile. So it's give you upper edge in terms of the work what you're doing now.
Mm. And when it comes to the interview, you did really well, right? Because you only interviewed with one company, but you got an offer all the way through.
Yep.
What do you think made the difference for you? Why did they pick you out of everyone else?
I think first and foremost was basically the experience in the retail domain and the supply domain, because they want to be dead sure. Because even though I don't have any Australian experience, but I have an international experience, and somehow the framework of supply chain on the retail doesn't change at all if you work in any of the country. You still understand the basic concept, and that was a first point. And second was basically my hunger to learn more. I think this is where from the this is the feedback which I received directly from my general manager, which stated that with the first interview, which was eventually only for an half an hour, but it was almost got more than an hour, because we got into a lot of the details about what needs to be done it across in job, and we went into the directly case study that this is what needs to be done. And I've given a lot of insight in the first round of interview, and that's what it triggers that yes, he can be the potential candidate. Because in eventually the company doesn't want someone who can at least fit the role. They want someone who is potential to progress in the profile, and that's what they were looking at the beginning.
How quickly did you hear back from Spotlight about getting an offer?
Just one day.
One day.
So after the final round of interview, the HR just called me up and said that it's been done. How soon you can move it from Adelaide to Melbourne? I said just within a week I can be able to transition across. So I think that's that's how they were eager to do that. And because it's a retail, the position keeps on coming, and people, it's keep on changing and revolving. So obviously there are a lot of opportunities available, but you need to find a right balance, that if you have a domain expertise, little bit of the retail and supply chain, then most probably with top of that, with some of the tools, because I'm pretty sure the tools you have already learned in your masters, and obviously you are on that level to at least get a foot on the doors, to at least find a rhythm in terms of getting an interview call.
How did it feel when you got the offer?
No, it feel I was so relaxed. I was actually slept very nicely for more than 8 hours. I think that's what I can say. But it was, I can understand the pain what every international student goes through, and when they got this first stint at any of the companies, definitely it gives a lot of relaxation. And being with an experience of 10 years, and you have a family to take care, then it makes a lot of sense that you are relaxed enough now.
What kind of tips would you have for people? Say they've also got lots of experience. They're coming over to Australia. They're trying to find, where do they fit?
I think it's a very critical question, and then it depends on person to person. First and foremost is basically understand where exactly is your expertise lie, and define that this is what. So if you want to get a foot on the door, capitalize on the expertise which you have already got. So with an experience you have already got, comparison with the fresher coming into the profile, they will obviously gonna choose you. But the mistake which I've done at the beginning was basically I was changing my domains from supply chain to an IT, which didn't make sense at the beginning. But when I curated my profile, which is related with my expertise, definitely I started getting calls. So first and foremost is understand where actually your expertise is. Curate all your resumes and network according to that, and then once you get a fine balance with the profile, within a year or 2 years down the line, then aspire what you wanted to be, and that's where you start getting a lot of an certification which you wanted to be. For in my case, I want to be in BA, then definitely I would definitely go for the CBAP certification, understand, go with the networking conferences which is conducted by an IIBA, then definitely you will find your own rhythm and understand what is required in the industry. So that's much more essential for an experienced people. For fresher, I would still suggest that you do a certification, so that at least you are top of the game with the different candidates coming up into the picture. Utilize that time to understand the concept, irrespective if you are not aware about any of the domain expertise. But if you are aware about what the tools used by the BA, then definitely you will be on top of the game. But certification, I would still suggest for fresher, it's much more required at the beginning.
If you could go back in time, imagine you're coming to Australia for the first time, would you do anything differently?
I think I would do a lot of things differently. First and foremost is basically start with your CV per se, because even though you have applied for multiple companies like all across the world, but again the country works differently. So you need to first thing is that curate your CV accordingly, which is required as per the country specification. Then do a lot of job research, what it is required and what is your requirement of the jobs, and if something is missing in the job requirement versus what is in your resume, update your skills. Definitely that will help a lot. And that's the thing which I would definitely started to change if I would be coming 6 months down the line and again coming into Australia. So a lot of things learning within a span of 6 months to 1 year, but that's the thing which I would be on top of my head is someone is coming to Australia at the beginning.
How early would you start networking?
I think before coming to Australia, I would definitely start networking. I think that's the first and foremost, and it is quite surprising because see, every country works on a reference and works on the networking session. Only thing is that if you are shy enough like me, it is very difficult to start networking at the beginning because you have a different mindset coming from a different country. But if you start, at least ask a question that you're struggling in some ways, people are definitely are going to help you. And in my case, there are a lot of people who have actually helped me during my transition across. So networking is a very imperative. There's no second thought about it.
Fantastic. Any final tips, tricks, lessons you want to share with people watching? Maybe they're struggling to get a job in their field. They want to follow in your footsteps.
I think I would definitely start with, again, it's a very philosophical, but you have to be very resilient enough. I know you will break your silence, you will break your anger, and all that stuff will keep on coming up, and it's for everyone. It is not only specifically for me or anyone, but you need to be resistant enough. But take a listen from all your rejections, and irrespective whether it's 100 applications or one application, but all that rejection, it should be followed by the feedbacks coming across, not from you, but from someone who's gonna judge you specifically towards what is required. And people are actually hesitant to ask those kind of questions, irrespective whether they are their friends or their teachers or their mentors or anyone, but ask this kind of a feedback. So that's the tip which I want to give it to everyone.